Okay, now it's July 28th. Had another long day and it's very late, so I'm only going to have time to probably weigh the machines, maybe look at the insides and measure them just to make sure all the marketing specs were correct. I don't have storage yet anyway, so I will just freely admit that up front. I can't use these till Friday, July 29th in any meaningful way. And turning them on without memory, well, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And if people are interested in fan speed, well, I know they are, well, I'm going to want some storage and an operating system. Windows 10 tends to settle down a little more than ESXi, for instance. So I'm going to want to measure decibels for both. So just a little preview, I'll be using this. I'll also be using an app on an iPhone, 2 different decibel meter utilities. All right, back to tonight. We've got some screwdrivers. Phillips 1, Phillips 2. Which one fits this screw the best? Now, I'm not a big fan of crooked stickers on the side, I'll just say that. I think that sticker might go on the bottom if you're using this, say, in a home environment. All right, so there's a bit of play there. So Phillips 1 feels a little small. Phillips 2 feels about right. I'm going to push in. The whole thing moved because I was pushing it kind of hard. And, it's pretty tight. I'm going to go with Phillips 1. I don't want to strip it. I don't want to rub the paint right off. Okay, that screw was pretty tight. This is my very first look. The machine sat here since yesterday. I did not do anything without rolling the camera, because I know people are interested in seeing the innards of this machine. There are other E300s showing up in the world, but this is the first E200 to ship. I always like new hardware. This is fun. There it is. Okay. You're probably going to want to see under that metal plate, so that means 2 more screws. These are not painted black, so it's pretty clear what's coming from the inside and what's coming from the outside. Those are tight. I'm not liking the feel of that particular screwdriver. And I do not want to strip anything. So I might go with a different tool set. Let's see how we do with Phillips 2. Not good, too big. So I'm going to try iFixit. So naturally I'm going to talk about what tools fit the best when I figure it out. This is a PH2 that looks more suitable in size. Okay, no play. So now we're getting somewhere. Beautiful. Now that sheet metal bent down. I actually had to push pretty hard to get that out of there. Okay, 4 screws and we're in. Here we go. Slide forward. Okay, and we're in. Ta-da! There it is, the insides, the fans that people have been talking about. There's only 2 on this particular system. M.2 slot. Notice that there is a limited length here. Doesn't look like it can overshoot by much. Some other boards can have 1, 2, 3 posts for 3 different sizes. So that will likely become relevant for the types of storage options that you may have. The fans are what really has everyone's attention. How noisy are these suckers? And here's DC. Unlike the marketing picture, clearly we're plugged into the 1 4-pin connector. I feel like the PR stock photos looked a little different. And then we have the heatsink. It's a little taller. It does not have a fan attached to it because the airflow is going across it. This cable seems awfully thick right in front of 2 fans, but it would be better if it was, laying down, I would say. But not a big deal. All right. SATA. We have room for 6 attachments. We have no room for the drives themselves. So I'm looking here and I'm thinking to myself, how to use anything that came in this kit to get ourselves a 2.5-inch drive attached. Well, looks like we got our power takeoff right here. But where is this drive going? Well, the answer appears to be these holes. So you're going to be putting the SSD right on there, and it's going to be sandwiched in the space above the CPU. So, yeah, we're a little tight in there, right? Let's do that again. Slide in. And there we go. Let's see. That's the right technique. Get all four in there, and then you can slide back with ease. So the disk is going to go in that gap under there. Let's see if I have a hard drive handy. I think I do. And I think they're going to be too thick. I'm trying to remember the spec, if it's 9 millimeters or 7 clearance, but looks like your drive screws would need to mount to those 4 holes. So that means your drive is hovering like this with your SATA cable attached. Now that means the DIMMs can't be sticking out very far either. Alright, interesting. Not sure if the camera just went wonky on focus, but let's move on. This video will probably get published unedited and as is. Now I do have memory nearby, so just to finish up this look inside, I think it makes a lot of sense for me to install some memory DIMMs, and then we'll move on to the E300, which is a little bit larger. I'll point out that 2400 seems to be the DDR4 that Supermicro is headed towards, but not for both of these motherboards. So the E200 is spec'd for 2133 memory. I think, no, actually that's got the faster CPU. The E300-8D is spec'd for the slower RAM. So now what I'm doing is looking through my parts here and figuring out who's getting which RAM. This is the faster one. I'm going to actually try mixing and matching, seeing how well the BIOS handles that anyway. So here we go. Here's our part number. Let's get some RAM in there and see what height and how much clearance we have for drives. So that's pinned to go the other way. So let me show you this RAM before I slide it in. This is Samsung. 2400 is visible right there. That camera nice and close. And what's on the back? Nothing. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and admit it's very humid. I have no issues with static discharge or wearing static straps. So, how about I just line them up and stick them in. I'm going to do the back one first. You want to do 2 blue if you have only a pair. So if you're going to boot your machine with just 2 DIMMs, you want to do it like that. But we're going for all 4 with 128. That way we'll see the maximum watt burn at idle of a fully populated, fully spec'd out, full of memory 128 gig machine. Motherboard feels pretty solid. There's minimal flex as I'm pushing in those memory DIMMs. And now I'm looking and I have just skeptical and thinking about that hard drive. How on earth could this fit? So let's do like a dry fitting here. The hard drive's lined up. I'm resting it in place, and it's a full height 2.5-inch drive. Again, I'm guessing just not going to work out very well. But you know what? I might be wrong. Let's see. I got that completely on wrong because I'm supposed to be sliding in here, right? So now, clearly, I'm hitting memory DIMMs already. So there's no way that full height hard drive will fit. eyeballing the gap, there's almost no gap. So I don't really know what the heck hard drive you're supposed to be putting in here with this height for DIMMs. This has me scratching my chin a bit. I'm thinking the drive orientation needs to be different. So let's check out these holes, and that lines up. So now we're getting somewhere. Ta-da! So we can do SATA right out the back. All right, so let's line up those holes. And now we're talking. SATA right out the back, plugged into any of those motherboard ports, doesn't really matter. And power right here. No clearance issues, we're good to go. Let's actually kind of dry fit that and show that there's actually room above the CPU to do that. And the answer is a big fat yes, no problem at all. I'm not hitting the CPU heatsink at all. It's clear. So that's that. It will fit and work just fine. So, setting all that aside, because now I'm ready to open up the next system. Should probably finish with a nice close-up view so you can see all the components, because I'm sure folks will have questions. Maybe we can even make out the silk screen for the revision of the motherboard. That's right there. Revision, sorry, there on camera. 2.00. How about I turn that right side up for you? So, our 1 gig, our 10 gig, our management, all right there. Looks very similar to the Xeon D1541 that I'm very used to. Including these little chips, look like the revision 2 motherboard in the 1541. Got a fan standoff here, and another one there. So they use the back right corner for the fan here, and this one for the other. There's another fan standoff here. So it's actually generous with your internal fans, given you don't really have a place to, put them or use them in this system. So I think one of the bigger concerns here will be if you have a longer SSD, how could you go at the back? Well, a little creative Dremel tool work would do the trick, removing some metal and literally sticking your M.2 out the back. Pretty bizarre looking thing that would be. And I think it would probably hit the seatsink or just barely clear it anyway if you try to go longer than 2280 size. Okay, that's it. Super simple motherboard and very little cabling. You're not using these USB standoffs, you're just using USB ports built in right here. You have lots of USB headers internally though. There are adapters where you can actually maybe find a right angle one, a 90-degree one where you can lay down a little extra USB 2.0 on the inside. Or maybe even USB 3.0. Okay, time for the E300. So, as I mentioned yesterday, unless the light is shining straight in, you don't really see those fan wires or those colored wires all that much. I don't think you would notice them in your home lab at all. And it looks like we're going in right through the top again. So, getting out that same screwdriver, the iFixit PH2, seems like a good idea. Let me just get this desk cleaned up just a little bit and keep my screws sorted. One machine set aside with its perfect lid right next to it with its 4 screws. So we probably have 4 more screws to go to get this one visible. I just picked up the wrong screwdriver. Let's stick with the clearly labeled PH2 here. That wasn't hard at all. Hopefully I'm not blocking the camera too much. And we're ready to take that lid off for a first look. Now I just noticed, look what I just did. Kind of easy to push in that PCI, so it's a little bit cheesy that I probably already broke one of those little metal tabs keeping it from moving. So just be aware of what I just did. A very gentle pressure with a thumb immediately dislodged that. Is that a big deal? No, not really, but again, I just made the mistake, so maybe you don't have to. Now this system, just double checking, yep, I do want to go in through the top. but something's hanging me up. It doesn't seem to be opening up as easily as the other system. Now, do I have any kind of manual or anything telling me why? Well, could this rolled metal and this screw be holding it? I don't really know. I'm just going a little slow and easy. I don't really want to do damage here. I have a feeling it's going to slide. There we go. Okay, so it slid about 1 millimeter. Now the back is free to lift up. So there's your removal technique for the lid. Slide a little more. And pretty soon we are clear with minimal effort. Okay. Making some more room on the desk. There we go. More crooked stickers on the side, by the way. And more screws. 2 screws to take out. Again with the PH2 screwdriver. Pressure. Not too bad. Comes right out. Let me get all the screws together here. All right. We got one more to go. Okay. This is going to be the same sliding technique. The metal's a little bit sharp in the fingers. I don't think enough to bleed, but something to be aware of. And you're noticing, hey, you forgot a screw there. That's why I'm only moving things very gently. And I'm not editing this video, so you just saw my mistake, not looking at the 3rd screw. Okay, and now it's obviously free to just pop right up. Again, this rolled metal is not the most robust config. You don't want to push hard so you don't bend the metal tabs and make your life harder later. And you got to put it back together. All right, look at that. Here we go with the 2 fans again. So these machines are full of surprises. The PR marketing photos are incorrect or misleading, whatever you want to say there. That's the deal. All right, so we have a fan missing. Now we have room for a fan and a fan header. There's no issue with that. We have a nice touch of a USB sticking right up there, so that would work very nicely with a compact drive like the beloved 32 gig for under 10 bucks SanDisk drives here, where it's low profile, has a little glowing light, and can obviously easily clear on a motherboard like this. So if you're an internal drive fan for your ESXi or other hypervisor, well, you now have a system with more elbow room. 2 PCI slots, and you need a bit of a kit to install that. So let's have a look. Yesterday we had the unboxing. Today all the kit does is change this backplate, which I dislodged, into a bracket form factor. I am perplexed at why I'm not seeing a right angle turn here. So we have a PCI card, half height of course. How is it going to plug in here without a way to do that? Don't know. That's going to have to be a mystery for the later video. All right. Notice we have another slot here. It looks like SATA, but that's strange because there's a screw here, a standoff up to the side. I'll have to get back to you on that one. Here we have 2280 by default for M.2. And we also have a further standoff for the longer size. So this one will fit different brands and different lengths, unlike the 200. So we already have more flexibility noticeable on the ATX Flex, or Flex ATX motherboard design that we're looking at here. It's got a couple more inches of width. And strangely, some traces where it looks like a second CPU could have gone. All right. What else? The PR pictures. This time we have DC again. You never want to hook up AC at the same time. And as the ND1541, someone's done that. It didn't go well. They burned out some SATA ports. Also, you have 2 more holes there, so just be aware the attachment point is there. Obviously, I didn't have to assemble anything. This machine's ready to power on as is. So, I don't know. I'm really curious. We have a power supply. We have a power cord. We have also a SATA 2.5-inch drive connection, a couple of 3 screws, and this bracket. This bracket has no electronics and no way to turn the PCI card at a right angle. So it feels like either my kit's missing something or, well, I just don't know. How on earth would you plug in, again, with something laying down? Now that I've broken this off, what would I do about that, now that I broke that little metal tab? I'm not sure, other than maybe bring it out front, pop it in front so that it doesn't pop in so easily when accidentally touched in the future. I'll have to think about that. All right, how about we do another close look here? So you're seeing power, DC power coming in through that edge. Nicely insulated cable for the DC power, and a very long cable at that. And there it's attached to the motherboard. So I think you're getting a pretty good look at the system. What revision motherboard are we talking about? Silk screening is here this time, revision 1.01. So this is kind of an early release, you could say, of this particular form factor for Supermicro. And this cable they just kind of laying down the motherboard. That's heading off to I'm not actually sure. What is that doing? Okay, so it's going to the panel with power on the other system. So that's the same thing we have going on here. It comes all the way around. I didn't notice it's got a crook in there and hidden. And then to here. So basically you're only going from here to here, but they're taking a long way around because of the little clearance. A little odd that this fan has some airflow blocked there. Seems kind of like they would have wanted to put the fan here and here, on the sides maybe, but whatever. Always buy another fan. Okay, I think that's going to be a wrap for this look at both of these systems. Definitely a chin scratcher on the mounting option for that 2.5-inch drive, or excuse me, the PCI card. 2.5-inch drive, we resolved the mystery on the first one. So on the second one, did we also resolve that mystery? No, didn't even talk about it. So let me finish up with that. Reassembling it, we've got to look for how is it keyed and where do the screws line up. So you've got these, they're only going one way, great. And then where do you have room for a drive? Clearly right here underneath. Another one here, but there's no room for it. It would have to be awful thin. Feels like 2 or 3 millimeters, so I'm not really sure what you're supposed to do. But I don't believe they claim to have space for a second 2.5-inch drive. So there is no issue with lining up these holes. There's no issue with clearance here, unless of course you went and you're trying to use the PCI card, in which case I'm not really sure you can do that at the same time. But again, I don't have a right angle adapter here to do that. So that's it. Let's just kind of lay them out next to each other here and wrap up this video for the night. Kind of compare and contrast the innards layout and design at this point. And there you go. A nice view of both systems. You also get a comparison of a size and perspective here. Okay. Airflow left to right, sucking in from the front, going across DIMMs, across the heat vanes on the CPU, and excuse me, I have that totally wrong. Sorry, these fans are sucking from the front bezel, so airflow is from the right to the left. Boy, I'm wishing I didn't say that since I'm not editing this, but that's okay. All right, so again, airflow sucking in through the front bezel, honeycomb mesh metal, shooting across the CPU first and then out the back. Okay, same deal here, sucking in the front bezel, across the DIMMs, out the back. So the only thing you haven't seen is installing the second set of memory DIMMs, which I'm attempting to grab right now. And here we go. Second set of memory DIMMs. And I'm going to need to double check. Did I get the speeds installed in the right machine? Again, like I said, I'm going to swap them. I'm going to mix them on purpose. But here we're clearly seeing 2133. And this is Hynix this time. This is not Samsung. So let me hold the camera let me hold the memory much more steady so you can really check it out. Clearly Hynix branded. All right. Flip these around and time to install. Flip the levers out. Simple and easy. This time I'll just go sequentially since I'm filling all 4 sockets, but again, you always want to use 2 blue first and then the 2 black next. Okay, all the levers in. That's it. That's going to have to be a wrap for tonight. I'm as tempted as you to keep looking at these, but again, without storage until tomorrow anyway, I won't be able to do a whole lot more meaningful testing. Having memory without any kind of storage, again, I'm not sure it's fair to fire it up and look at the fan noise quite yet like this. But the other thing is I don't even have video, right? So if I were to fire them up, we're going to miss what the first BIOS looks like. So I'm really going to want to have a monitor, IPMI connection, and all that set out for the rig tomorrow. And that takes time, and that's going to have to wait for another night. So thanks for your patience on these unboxing and now internal views of these tiny new E300 and E200-8D micro servers. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching and for visiting tinkertry.com.